I bow to you all, for you are the seekers of truth. When we talk of truth, we must understand at the very outset that truth is what it is. We cannot mold it with our human awareness. We cannot organize it. And we cannot change it at all. So what is the truth? The truth is that we are not this body, this intellect, emotions, this ego, the conditionings, but we are the spirit. And the second truth is that there is a subtle, all-pervading divine power which is doing all the living work. For example, we see the flowers and we take them for granted. Bernard Shaw said that if you just watch your eyes, you'll be surprised what a camera it is. So, all living things we take for granted, and we do not inquire as to how these things are worked out and how all these living processes are going on around. Now we have, supposing, come from amoeba stage to this stage. How we have come? We didn't do anything. And how is it we have become human beings? And why have we become human beings? When I first saw the mandate of United Nations, when my husband was elected, I was very happy because what it was saying is exactly what we have to do. Is to become collective, in a way to have collective benevolence. But outwardly and superficially, we cannot become collective. We have to become inwardly collective, and for that something has to happen to us. Because if we were so easily collective, we would have absolute knowledge, and there would not have been any difference of opinion. Everybody would have said the same thing, because if it is absolute truth, it has to be absolute for everyone. On the contrary, everybody is saying they are the truth, and it seems they are all absolutely juxtaposition with each other. So what is the thing that we are missing? Whether it is religion, philosophy, thinking, or all the philosophies of the world. I feel in the United Nations, one has to get self-realization. Unless and until you get your self-realization, this collectivity, which is the nature of your spirit, will not manifest. The spirit is the collective being within us. And when it manifests, you are amazed at yourself that you can feel the centers, subtle centers of another person on your fingertips, and you can feel the subtle centers of your being also on your fingertips. In Quran it's very nicely described that at the time of resurrection your hands will speak. So when you get your realization, you can feel it on your fingertips, all the subtle centers about which he was talking to you about. These to be understood later on. But the first thing is, you must ask for your enlightenment. It's a myth when we say that we are enlightened, we are born again, or we are this and we are that. Unless and until you become spirit, in the real sense of the word, that it's an actualization of the experience, we are not to believe into it, because that kind of a belief is just blind and is not for our benevolence or for the benevolence of the whole world. So this breakthrough in the evolutionary process has to take place. But for that one has to remember that as we have not paid for our evolution so far, we cannot pay for it. First of all people who talk of payment, you must know that there's something false behind it. because you cannot pay for it. Like if you have to sow a seed, you don't pay anything to the Mother Earth. You may pay for the hall, you may pay for the car, but you can't pay for your self-realization. This is first thing to be understood very clearly. But I find in the Western countries it's difficult for people to understand this point. I was surprised that the BBC people, such a well-equipped and sensible, they told me very frankly that Anglo-Saxon brain cannot understand anything without money. Now I said, who has made this Anglo-Saxon brain? First of all. The second point is that you believe in Christ. How much money did you pay to Christ? How much money did you pay to Buddha? How much money did you pay to Mahavira? Or to Nanaka? Or to anyone like that? They worked so hard for you. What did you do for them? Nothing but to torture. I never listened to them. The truth is so important today for us that all our problems are there only because we have not felt the truth. You are talking now about imbalances. You are talking of physical problems, of drugs, and also of AIDS and all other such things. All these can be cured and completely prevented if you become the spirit. You will be amazed. Because when this Kundalini rises, she touches that all-pervading vital power, and you are blessed with all your physical, mental, emotional upliftment. Not only that, but complete nourishment. Because this little point was left out, we are suffering. Ecological problems can be solved very easily if you get into your balances. For example, we use machines or anything, we go to extremes. We have no balance. Actually, the mental projection is a linear movement. But if it has no support with the reality, it recoils back on you. Even science. Science, of course, we must say that science has done a lot of harm in a way because it has produced atomic bombs and all that. But also the science also tells us this is wrong. We are going too far with it. We should stop. But we don't pay any heed to it. This is our own mistake, that we have to understand that there is a kind of a balance which is needed in our own lives, in our own temperament, in our own being. But supposing if you force yourself, you cannot do it. If you tell yourself, no, you must be balanced. You should have balanced food. You should have balanced life. You cannot. Because as at the human awareness, you cannot. But once you become the spirit, it automatically works out. Now in this diagram you'll see there are 3 channels which are shown, and also there are centers which are shown here, which are 7 in number. Now the centers are something like this, I would say, and this is the left and the right side, 2 sympathetic nervous system. And in the center is the parasympathetic nervous system. Doctors call it as an autonomous nervous system. But who is the auto? And who controls the auto? And how to reach the auto is the problem. Supposing you have a tree, very much grown, you must know it has to have roots down below. And if it has not got those roots developed, it's about to fall off. So this is the knowledge of the roots. And as scientists, you must have an open mind about it, absolutely an open mind. Take it as a hypothesis. And if it works, as honest people, you have to accept. For example, my husband always said that you are a saint. I know, you are an awliya. He used to say that. But I can't believe you can make anybody like you. It's a different thing. It's a different category. But these days, these categories are born. So many are seeking the truth. Never in the history of spirituality you had so many people who were seeking the truth. They are misled, I know, and they are used, exploited, agreed. But there are seekers. So I call it a blossom time. This is a special time when this has to happen, but people have to have seriousness about it. I mean, in the society that I move, as you know, there's another society also I have, in which I find people talking like this. This guru is very good, is expensive but very good. And the one gave some bargains and another has lowered some prices. If you are going to judge your guru by how much money he takes or how much you can save, then it's such a money-oriented nonsense. It cannot be anything divine. Divine doesn't understand money. Never. So once you understand this simple point, you'll be able to reach the truth very easily, that if you have to seek the truth, it's a living process within you which has to work it out. And when it works out, then only you can feel that beautiful surrounding, all-pervading power about which all the religions have described. Now, if you go even to religions which have only talked of the formless God, or some who have talked of the form, there's one common point they have said. Seek the eternal. All of them have said, seek the eternal and use the temporary with all understanding in its own limitations. But you can't do it. That's the trouble. We just can't keep ourselves into those limitations. If we take to drinking, we become drunkards. If we take to work, we become work alcoholics. If you take to anything, we go to extremes. Only thing that really gives us the complete balance is the spirit. Now how? Because spirit is like the light. Supposing you are holding a snake in your hand, and if somebody tells you you are holding a snake in your hand and it's all darkness, then one may say, no, it's not, it's a rope. How can you argue? Till the snake bites the person, he is not going to leave the snake. Best thing is to put on the light. And in that light, he can see and he can throw away the snake. This is how today's Sahaja Yoga is working. Sahaja means born with you is the right to be united with this divine power. Yoga doesn't mean standing on your heads, or it doesn't mean breaking your knees. It doesn't mean that at all. If you see Patanjali Yoga, then in the Patanjali, he has written it into 8 ashtangas, into 8 folds, out of which Yama Niyama is a wee bit, out of which the exercise is even much a smaller percentage. Also, it is said very clearly that when your Kundalini rises, then you must do this center, or this center is being augmented, constricted, then you have to use a particular type of an exercise. Patanjali Yoga is such a big book. But those people who just make it a physical one do not understand that we are not only physical beings. If we were only physical being, I get many wrestlers coming to me to say that, Mother, we have no peace. Will you give us peace? We are much more than physical being. We are physical being, we are mental being, we are emotional being, above all we are spiritual being. And that spiritual being has to manifest. That manifestation has to take place in our awareness. Then so many things happen to us. First of all, as I told you, that with this connection, this vital energy starts flowing through you. Now this energy has got so many qualities. First is it comforts you. It comforts you. In the sense, it cures you automatically. It is your own power cures you. Of course it is true. Through Sahaja Yoga, people have been cured of blood cancer, of very serious diseases. And if you allow me, I would say that AIDS also has been cured with Sahaja in Australia, no doubt. But such complications that in this country you cannot cure anyone. I mean, I don't cure, but even your Kundalini cures, you may be arrested for that. And in all the Western countries, this is a problem. And in India, an AIDS patient cannot come. All such complications are there. But these things are so easily cured if you allow your Kundalini to rise. And now doctors have accepted it. I must say, Russians, whatever you may say about their regimes and all that, forget about it. I'm not interested in their politics. But the people are so wise and so sensible. The doctors and Nobel Prize winners so sensible, so serious-minded. They have taken to Sahaja Yoga so seriously. I'm amazed that what's the use of our democracy that we had all over, that we did not understand the importance of our ascent, that we have to find something. We are so satisfied with ourselves, whatever we have. We talk of ecological problems, this problem, that problem. But we don't think how we can get out of it. We never bother to see what will help us. People talk of spirituality here and there. It's a serious thing one has to understand. If United Nations has to express itself in reality, then I would say the people of United Nations must get their self-realization first. And then they can understand what they are, how great they are, how glorious they are, so many ways and so many powers they have which they can use. And this is the power of love, which we have never used. Actually, when you read about United Nations, you think it is conceived as a thing that works on the power of love. But where is that power of love? That is this all-pervading power. You become extremely dynamic, extremely active, extremely sensible, wise, but above all, extremely compassionate. And this is what has to happen to us. It is not a lip service. We cannot sit on the table and talk of peace. I have known people who have got Nobel Prize in Peace. They are the hottest people you could ever think of, I tell you. I don't know how they got this prize, maybe for some sort of a thing they did on a very superficial level. But the person who is not peaceful within himself, how can he spread peace? You have to have your own peace within yourself. You have to feel your peace within yourself, and then only you can do something about it. And a person who has achieved that, even the presence of such a person can emit that peace that we are talking about. So I have to request you all as members of United Nations, because my husband has been there for 16 years, as you know, and he had to resign, otherwise they would not allow him to get out. I told him that unless and until you resign, I won't be able to talk like this to them. But it's a fact, I must tell you. As members of United Nations, all of you have to ask for your self-realization, to understand yourself fully well, and then you will see how dynamic you become. All your problems get immediately solved, because you become detached from your problems and you can see them better, you can solve them better. I mean, this knowledge is such a lot that I cannot cover the whole subject in one lecture. I must have given thousands of lectures only in English language. But I would say that, like these lights are here, and if I have to tell you about electricity, how it has come, how it was discovered and all that, it's a headache. It's better I tell you that you put on the light. So it's better that we have our light and see for ourselves in our light what's our problem is. People get mad, they don't know they are getting mad. People get cancer, they don't know they are getting cancer. They are all the time under fear. This might happen to me, that might happen to me. But with Sahaja Yoga, immediately you know what's wrong with you. And if you know how to correct it, it hardly takes any time. But the transition between the awakening of the Kundalini and mastering it is hardly 1 month's time. But even that much patience people if don't have, how are we going to work out? But it's very amazing. Just think of it. It's very amazing that the Eastern Bloc people are so easily taken to it, that Russians are so easily taken to it, while we, who have the freedom to express ourselves, freedom to do what we like, are not so good. I must confess that I really was astounded the way these people reacted. What's wrong with us? Why shouldn't it happen to us? And I just cannot put my finger onto anything as such. Why all kinds of falsehood we accept, all kinds of falsehood. I mean, if somebody comes and says, all right, you dance, so we think we are spiritual. Anything. But nobody has been able to deliver the goods. I always say, if you have a guru, what have you got from your guru? I am your mother, say, I would like to know, what powers have you got? Now, this gentleman who spoke to you today, do you know how many people he has given realization to? How many things he has done? There are many sitting here who have been doing all these things. They look just like you, simple people, leading a very simple life and a very sane life, good people. As I would say, my husband says, they're all angels. But they have become angels. Some of them were drug addicts, some of them were very immoral, some of them were absolutely lost cases. And see, where are they? And why can't we learn this art? It's so simple, so easy. You don't have to pay it. It's your own. This is what sometimes I can't understand. And I'll be very happy if you can ask me some questions about it. But I really request you people to take it up seriously and work it out. When people will see how you are changed, how you are transformed, how you have become dynamic, they will definitely follow you. You cannot force it on it. That's the only problem, is that your freedom is to be respected. We cannot say that you have to take your realization. You have to understand yourself mentally and to ask for it. Otherwise it cannot be forced. But I would like to have some questions from you. Thank you. Thank you very much.